Good morning everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to start decorating our pieces. So my three main characters, they have been stitched all the way around and stuffed. So they're ready, the two bunnies, and my little bird, the body is ready as well. So today's about embellishing, which really is whatever you want to do. I'll probably just show you the order in which I do things on the bird. The bunnies are pretty easy because you're just gathering elements that you like and laying them on your rabbit. So you can do anything. So I've got my scrap buckets nearby where I can just rummage through and see what bits and pieces I can find to build up a bit of a treatment on the rabbits. I do need to find some ribbons or lace to create a hanger and stitch that into position, and then add a little charm. So yeah, I'll just put the rabbits aside for now because I want to focus on the bird. Now, I went ahead this time, and after I stitched the wings together, I did some fly stitch down the actual wings. Using my marker pen, I just made a few little lines. I did a straight line first and then some little V's that interconnected at the center of the stem, and then just did a little bit of a fly stitch. I left the length of thread on because I'm going to use that with a needle to secure it to the side of the bird, like so. So I thought I might as well leave that stitch on, and that will become the little wings. So that was pretty simple. And then the tail feathers, there were these two, which I then fly stitched down for something different. I didn't do it on this one, I left them plain, so you don't have to. And then these little extra bits, I put a few fly stitches on those as well, just to sort of jazzy it up a little bit. They're the extra feathers, if you will, if you want them. Like, there's no rules to this. You can do whatever you want. Now in here will be a little tie to hang the bird on the tree, but I leave that to the last because if I go crazy in here and add all this weight, you're really not sure yet where that needs to be added, and then you need a counterweight at the end. So that's just a cluster of some beads and then just stitched onto the underneath of the little bird. Okay, so I think what we'll do first is let's get the feathers in position. So I just want to grab a needle, and I think there was some thread left. So let's try and utilize that thread. And we're just going to stitch through the little bird to secure the wings. And it's as simple as that. Now I've got a couple little stitches there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put into position this feather as well. And this one I'm going to turn up a little bit just to have them coming out at different angles. Now, being this is a Christmas decoration hanging on a tree, I'm not too worried that the back of this feathery piece has my little fly stitch knots and things like that, because it'll be hanging in a tree. So that's going to work. Now I might just get my little two lot of feathers, this little piece next. Might throw that down the bottom here. It's got a lot of plumage. He's very cute. Now you could cut them apart too to make them single feathers. You can do whatever you want. Just have a play. This would make a fantastic little pack of bits and pieces for a gift. So if you had some young people or some friends. I've done this with the neighbours. We actually all got together Christmas last year, all the girls in the street, or most of them that were available. And we sat around my craft table, and I just threw in the centre of the craft table buckets of bits and pieces, lace and things like that, and the girls just rummaged and created their very own birds for their Christmas tree, and we had a great night. We had some chocolates, some snacks, and we just sat around and chatted, and they left with a little bird. That's got all tatty, so I can't thread my needle. Probably don't need to knot it off. There's that many stitches there. It's not going anywhere. To make it easy. And change the... So yeah, these little projects make great Christmas activities. Sit around with the grandkids and make some little birds, and then they can hang them on their Christmas tree. Or rabbits. Rabbits are probably the easiest. Oh, there goes my phone. Why is it binging and bonging and... I just cannot thread that needle. Goodness sakes. Waste 2 minutes of your time trying to thread a needle. There we go. All right. Better check that in case it's something important. No, it's not. Better turn it off because it's early enough not to be my staff in the stores, so that I'll get this video made before all the action starts. Not that there's much action now. Our Christmas shops are a lot quieter than they were as people are heading to the shopping centres to do their shopping. So they're finished with me. The store looks like it's been pillaged by a herd of elephants. It was so beautiful in November. I tried to do a video for you all too, but there was that much Christmas music playing in the background as I went around that every time I went to upload these bloomin' videos, YouTube said, nope, that needs to be discussed with someone in, what was the one? Down in New Orleans. There was a Christmas song that belonged to a family in New Orleans. So, and the copyright police popped up on YouTube and said, before we can release this video to YouTube, you need to get permission from such and such from New Orleans. I'm like, oh, I don't need to do that. I'll just not put the video up. So, I unfortunately didn't get a video. I might try again next year. I needed to do it of an evening with no music playing, but I just ran out of time. Okay, so there's our plumage on our little bird. Now, like I said, you can do as much or as little as you like. Now, I do want to stitch into that plumage some dangly bits. Now, you can spread it and see you've still got the little tail there. That's where I'm going to attach the plumage. So let's move bunnies out of the way because things are about to get messy. And what I'm looking for in my bucket of stuff is things that can dangle. Now the length of the dangle, what did I use last time? Not a lot. I might do some little flowers. I'll cut that. It's just about gathering some morsels of textiles. That's a pretty one. So I've got 2 little laces. Okay, so I think that's about it that's in there. put that one away. I haven't rummaged in that one for ages. This is the one that's been my main go-to scrap bucket for the year. Now, I'd like some sari silk. Yeah, there's the ball. And then maybe some eyelash yarn to match the other one. So it's just about gathering some nice pieces, random stuff, and that becomes your plumage. Before I finish here, I just want to have one more little rummage. Oh, there's some seam binding. I like this, but it's got this yellow edge to it. I've used it so many times in things. So I'm going to trim the yellow off and use this little piece of crocheting as well. That'll really bulk up the plumage on our little bird. We're getting close to Christmas now, guys. I'm undecided what videos I'll post directly after Christmas. That between Christmas and New Year, I don't really have any projects on the go. I sort of feel like I need a bit of a break. But in amongst all that is the planning and the working of the Roxy Creations stitchery project. So I'd say I'll continue with that. So that you may not get a video every day. You never know, because I might have some time on my hand. Maybe I will. But I think my Roxy Creations prompts is going to lead into numerous projects because the theme is so broad. It's a fantastic theme for doing lots of different things. So I thought instead of starting brand new projects, I'm going to use, I think, the overall Roxy Creations prompts and project as my parent theme or the umbrella theme. And then from that will be lots and lots of projects. So that's sort of how I'm thinking I will proceed for the first few months. And once I sort of get all those projects into a rhythm, like when I show you my updates or, you know, and what I'm doing, I'll then see what gaps I have in my schedule for the months and add more projects if needed. Because I sort of feel like I could just do so much with just the prompts that the girls give us. So that's sort of where I'm thinking. Now, Susanna from Vintage Blend Studios is also doing a stitchery prompt project, of which I know the prompts because you can find them out now by going to her channel. So I've sort of got a bit of an idea of where that's heading, and it's old sewing techniques like applique and English paper piecing and all sorts of things. So between that project, which is going to run through to September, we have one per month. Between that project and making something from all of that, and then the Roxy Creations prompts and what you could make with all of that, I think I'm going to have minimum 6 months worth of projects. There is one project in addition that I've started working on. So I'll tell you more about that down the track because that's going to be closer to Easter. And Susanna from Vintage Blend Studios is also collabing with me. And it's going to be a pattern that you guys can buy from a designer. And we're going to then create that pattern. Now she has put out, the designer has, I'm going to be very mysterious here, The designer has put out some basic tutorials on how to construct her pattern. And I've been in touch with her and said, you know, can I also do some tutorials on the pattern and then put my twist on top of it. So a little bit of a surprise coming there, but that's not going to air till probably March. I just want to give January, February time to settle with all of these Roxy prompts and projects that may come from it, and also Susanna and her vintage sewing technique project. And then once all that sort of finds its position in my schedules, I'll then bring in the one that I'm working on quietly at the moment. I think I've got 4 episodes filmed, but there's a lot of work in it. And I just wanted to get it started to sort of see the time that it took me to do it so that I can allow the videos time to come out for you guys to participate. So, yeah, more about that when we get closer to Easter, the month leading into Easter and things like that. So that's the plan. And then I have a project that I'm going to kick off in July, and it's going to be Christmas themed, and it's Christmas in July is my starting, because I think we'll honestly need 6 months to work through that as well. So I've designed a embroidery that will be available to embellish in July, for Christmas in July, leading it into Christmas itself. So that's my plan so far, and if there's any gaps in the middle of all of that, or my fingers just get too sore from stitching, I will do, of course, some junk journal themes and make different journals for different themes featuring some nice paper kits that I find. So that, I believe, is the year to come. So if you want to join me on that journey, please subscribe, hit the like button, and that way, as these videos come to fruition, Mr. YouTube will fling them up at you. There we go. So in that chitter chat, I've stitched his tail feathers on. Now this little thread that I'm using to do that is just cotton from a sewing machine, real. Now what I want to do, because it's fine, is I'm just going to sneak my thread, my needle up his back. Because I had a thought, changing my needle, and to put a bit of glitter or sparkle on him. Where's my needle for? I do need to do something with this. This is another project that's in the back of my head. This old pincushion has had its day, and I really want to design a new one for my table, because this one is just, I can't find that needle. I always struggle to see it, and then as soon as I finish talking to you guys, I can see it. It's because it's so fine. Yeah, when I made this thing back in the, there it is, in the 80s, I didn't put any cardboard on the bottom. So as you can see a needle poking through there. It is dangerous. I pick it up and, oh, it gets me. Nasty, nasty little thing. So I really, really want to replace it. So I want to come up with a new design, new pincushion. That's a project on my, if there's nothing major going on, a quick little project. And I've got the walnut shell that you use in it. And it's been holding the arm to this thing. Walnut shell. It took me ages to get some because quite a few people were making making pin cushions at the beginning of the Roxy Creations project here in Australia, so walnut shells suddenly became the must-have purchase. So I couldn't get any for ages, so I sort of thought, oh well, I'll keep my eyes open, and when I see it get restocked. They tend to use it in reptile enclosures as well, so if you did decide you wanted to do a pin cushion with me, you've got a bit of time, get yourself some walnut shell, and then you'll have it. Because the reason we use it, not only is it a weighting down issue, but it sharpens our needles apparently, which I thought was, and our pins, because we're poking pins in, it allows them to be sharpened, which is a good thing. Mind you, the way mine feel, they all feel sharp. They're biting me all the time. So I'm on the hunt for some really cool pin cushion ideas. That'll be a little project in amongst the projects. So it's going to be a very busy year. Heaps of stitching, heaps of slow stitch. So this is working really well. So I'm just putting a little itty bitty bead up the back of the little bird. Okay. Might leave it at that for now, because I'll spend hours beading otherwise. So I might just leave that thread there. Now, so we've got our tail feathers, our plumage is in. Now I want to attach the wings. Let's have a look at those. I do have a thread on them already, so I can, no, I'll leave that thread because I want to add more pretties there. I'm going to add this crocheted element next. Ow, there's a pin in me. So we need to find a piece of crocheting. Probably could have prepared myself a little better, but there'll be something in here, I'm sure. Oh, this tatting would be pretty. So I'm looking for something to drape over the back of the bird before I put the wings on. So it's like a little collar, if you will. So I'm just going to snip off a little piece of this tatting. I may not need all of it. A saddle, if you will. And it's going to just sit in here, like so, just as a little extra plumage. I don't think I need that third one down there. So I'll grab this thread that was holding the beads, and I'm going to scoot it back down the back of the bird to get it to come up down here. So now I can pop that in there and just pop a few little stitches to hold it into place. Now in the other one, I used the edge of a doily, where this is the edge of a tatting doily. And I'm really just looking for interesting fabrics. And I'm just going to stitch a couple little stitches in there just to hold that. It's like a little extra plumage for the little bird. Then the wings go on. So my needle is there now ready for that. So I might just knot that off because my little wings have that thread still dangling off of them. And this is really just to stitch a couple little stitches in there just to hold that little bit extra. Can you see that little bit of plumage there? That's all it is, just a little extra. It's these little details that really make your bird look really, really cute. Okay, so now it's about laying your wing on and stitching that into position. Now you can come through your wing right to the front because we're going to put a little bit of decorative something there. So let's have a look in my bucket. And I've got some rosettes down here that I had thought I might add. Yeah, I like that. So you could put a button there. You could do, maybe I'll put a little bit of lace in there as well. I'll just get this little stitch in just to hold it. And because I can't help myself, see this edge here, that'd be perfect for that over the back of the bird plumage that I just stitched on, and using that tatting, cut something like that out. I'm just wondering if there's a little something that could go. I like the look of that. See how that's got a curved shape about it, like a feather. I like the idea that it pops another colour in there. So I'm just going to tuck that in there and, pop a few stitches through as I secure this little flower and that little piece of lace. That's a great way to use your scraps, and boy, do I have some scraps. Not that I don't want them, because scraps make things, and you've got to have scraps. So that is how I'm going to decorate my little bird. So you've got your basic elements in there, your tail feathers and your wing, and then it's just grabbing little trims and little bits of lace and stitching in those pieces. Well, that feels pretty good. Now I'll bring my needle through to the back. There's not much length there, so I might end that off with a knot, and then you start adding your trim again to the opposite side. Now, being, like I said, this is hanging in a Christmas tree, I don't think I need to go crazy with all of the bits because it's not going to be seen. So I'll just finish that off there. So there's my little bird's tail. And I'll definitely keep carrying the little gold beads across the top of the crown of the bird. Let's just thread this up again. This is from one of those tail feathers. I'm going to bring the needle through to the other side and grab the wing. I don't need that piece. I've got enough thread, so I'm going to trim that off. And just put that into position and stitch it down. Simple as that. Oop. Now, we might, just so it doesn't look like it's a unfinished, I might just utilize this little bit of tatting that I snipped off the back, and I'll just stitch that there, and that'll help, like it's got something there. Being that it is the back of the bird, at least there's a little something there. A couple little stitches. It all helps for plumage. Okay. And knot it off. So then really all that's needed now is to secure the tie in here, which I will do next. So I might even bring that needle up. And I was thinking this time, instead of lace, a ribbon, I would use some lace. And there was a piece dangling out of here. Oh, that was it there. So I used it. Okay. Well, here's some more. I was going to look at using a little piece of this. Thought that might be sweet. And then it's a case of slide. Now you could stitch this, like I mentioned in the last video, in that seam as well. Or you can add it after the fact, and by just tucking it down in amongst all of those goodies that you've just stitched on, and then popping a few little stitches in there. It's not holding a lot of weight, so you don't need to go crazy with the stitches either. It's just a little tacking and then knot it off. Okay, so there's, oops, goodness me, I've missed the, oh my goodness. I thought I had secured it, but I hadn't. Got one side down. So just tucking it in there. On the other side of the little bird's body. And just pop a few little stitches in. Really simple. That's why you can get this project for kids to do, because it really is just a couple little stitches. You don't have to be an experienced sewer. You know, if you don't want them to do the fly stitch down the wing, they don't need to. You could even, if they were little, you could make all of the basic components of the bird first, the body, the wings, and then all they've got to do is gather the goodies and stitch them on. So there's the little tie. Now you can see how, because there's so much plumage, see how the bird is shooting backwards? So to hang him in the tree, for him to sit like that, it's not going to happen, because he's wanting to lift his nose up because of the weight in his tail. That's why you create a bead dangle to hang on the front here, this thing, to counterweight it. So I'll need to go and find some nice big heavy beads to create a little cluster that can be just stitched there, and that sort of counterweight helps with the little bird. The other thing I need to find is my little pearls. This is like a little pearl button, and stitch one of those on for the eye either side. And then over the beak on the very end, I got some gold thread. So not gold as in gold, like a mustardy colour, and stitched over and over and over with some satin stitch to create the effect of the little beak. So that is the little bird, 99% done. So I'm going to move on to the rabbit now, because all that needs is a dangle, the eye and the nose, and I'll carry on with a few of those little gold beads across the top of his head. So we're going to leave him for a moment, And at the end of the video, there'll be a photo of the completed piece. So that's little bird. Let's grab one of these little rabbits. Now, I want to, I had a piece of tatting, yeah. So I found another piece of this tatting. I had a little one here through there, which I stitched on. So I want to do the same. Maybe I do a bunny this way, facing the other bunny. So I won't bore you with the details of that, but what I'll do is I will sit there and untangle this tatting because it's twisted and hand stitch it all down into position, which will be quite a challenge and time consuming because it's twisted. It's a funny little tatting actually. I wonder if I can even use it. It's got 3 little decorative bits, then 3 plain bits, then 3 decorative bits. That might not look as sweet on his ear because it's so unusual. See how that's just the one stitch continuously? I don't know about that. And that might be better just as a little decorative element on his shoulder, I'm thinking. Anyway, we'll come back to that. So this little guy, I did a little saddle over him. So where was that crocheting that I had in my hand? This here. So let's give him a little saddle as well. And let's just see what fits. Could go right around to his neck. It's just about building layers. So I'm going to get some cotton ready. And then I need to create a cluster to add to the side of his body. But first of all, I might try and get this little peak, or at least coming up over his shoulder a little. Just going to trim that. And then it's just a case of catching that down with a few little random stitches. There's a lot more to go on him, so it's not like it's not going to be held, but I sort of like doing a few little stitches here and there to hold things. So this is his little cape, little crochet doily cape. And I need to pucker that in there a little bit, I think, just to take up a bit of the bulk, so it sits right over his. These would make great little pieces to sell at markets if you were doing some Christmas markets. Looks like a little geel. Now I'm just coming down this opposite side with a couple more little stitches. Just to hold her crocheted piece. And that's it. So now it's a case of rummage and create a little decorative piece. Okay. There she is. She's got her little drapey dress on. Okay, what have we got? Let's have a little look in these roses down here. We've got some chocolate roses. Got a big rose. I had that bit of seam binding which was in the shape of a bow. I wonder if I could make that into a smaller bow. Sort of needs ironing. No. Do I do something with sari silk? Maybe I can make a sari silk bow. That's pretty cute. Oh, you could fiddle for ages. I've got to watch my time. I'm getting down to the wire here, but I think you've got the general gist of what you can do with these little guys. I like that so far. So in that, I would then look for other elements, excuse me, other morsels that can be added, like little bits of floral lace, little bits of lace that you can cut into shapes. If you can't find a curved shape, there's nothing stopping you cutting a little shape and then building up bits and pieces. I think that tatting is going to go in amongst this cluster. What else have we got in here? I'm sure there's morsels. There's this little guy. It's an interesting shape. It's an interesting shape. There's another one of these. So it's just about creating a little bouquet of bits that catch your eye. Just little pieces of goodies, and then stitching them together. Where's my needle and thread? To create a little cluster, like we do in the junk journal world. It's just a little cluster. And then in the center of your cluster, you have a feature. So I'm just going to pop a few little stitches in here. I'm going to catch that random piece of tatting in there as well, because it's no good to be stitched. It's too odd. Goodness me, the more I rush. So I'm just going to put a couple little stitches in. No, I don't like that. Maybe this is a good start. Get this tatting here now as the dangle coming off of it all. And then it's a case of stitch that to bunny, which you want to make your bunnies that the more the more you look at it, the more you see. So I'll continue to stitch that down and then I'm thinking along the lines of one of these flowers will go on the side of Bunny. And then once again, I won't bore you with all that because I think you can see where I'm heading. This little bow, I'm thinking I'll stitch underneath his chin just to add that last piece. Won't be using those. And then I might go looking for some form of gem or pearl, or this one here, I use this little piece here. It's like from a Tim Holtz piece. So you could have a little bit of bling. Once again, the same sort of eye, and then I'll find some lace to attach to the top of his head with a little bow on the back just to secure it. So that's how Bunny will go. I did grab out these linen buttons too, so there might be a case of a little linen button just get stitched randomly in there. So that's that Bunny. And this Bunny will be a similar sort of thing. He's got a little bit of crocheting coming across his back, a little bit of eyelash yarn, a little bit of lace and some little cuts off of lace, and then some form of rosette flower. I didn't put an eye on him because his face is so small. I didn't think it was needed. And then a little ribbon on the back. And then to finish it off, a little bit of bling. So that's my rabbits. That's my little bird. I'll continue just adding bits and pieces here, and then at the very end of this video there'll be a series of photos so that you can see how they all ended up. So have some fun, get the girls around and throw them all a bunny pattern and let them go for it. Let them rummage through the bits and see what they can come up with. Okay everyone, I will leave you in peace and bye for now. See you in the next video. Bye. Hello, I'm back. I finished that video and realised it was only about 47 minutes, so we got a little bit of time to just recap on the pieces, which I've 99% completed. Bunny here, I've just finished making the little cluster, and I found a little angel charm to add to it, plus one of those old linen covered buttons, which is all based on that little piece of crocheted cotton. Then I just tucked in some of that tatting, just some little random little morsels from crocheted doilies, and I've just found in my bucket here some twine. So the plan was to use that as my tie. They're really eclectic little guys, these. Code for made from scraps. I love how I look at them and they remind me of projects that I did through the year. So that's pretty cool. Little bits and pieces from some of my projects from 2022. How long I remember all those details will be the interesting thing, of course, because by next Christmas I'm sure they'll be just random scraps from the scrap bucket. So I've stitched the tie onto Bunny, and I'm now just going to position this decorative piece, and then a couple little stitches will hold that into position as well on Bunny. And that is 2 rabbits and a bird completed, which I'll show you them. So with the couple I made last Christmas, and these few I've now got a nice little set for my Christmas tree. So tomorrow's video will be all about the little birdhouse and taking you through the process of making that. And it's really simple. I sort of think that these are the most complex out of the whole little projects. But a lot of fun, especially when you get to use some of these bits and pieces. Okay. And that should be reasonably secure. I'll just put a couple little stitches over this side. And I know that it's Oops. Just take your time with it because your little threads do catch on all these little bits and bobs. These would make great little gifts on top of Christmas presents too. Instead of a bow, put your tie around your parcel and then attach one of these little handmade pieces. Be lovely. But these I'm not sharing with anyone. These are mine. These are going on my Christmas tree. My Christmas tree's just golds and creams, and then I pop in a random colour from time to time. Last few years it's been that Tiffany blue. So I sort of like lots of neutral colours, and then I can, you know, add. There's my two bunnies. There's my little bird, and I found a angel charm to hang on the bottom of my little bird. Continued some beads across the top. Love the plumage. And then that's the bunny from last year, and that's the bunny from this year. Very cute. And where's my original birdie? Here he is. There's my original bird. So they're all slightly different. I'm going to bring them down into the camera, but they sort of all match. And that's the great thing about snippets. Two bunnies running, two bunnies sitting, and two little birds. Okay, everyone, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope you're off to rummage through your scraps. Look, we hardly put a dent in it. My goodness me. Oh, boy. And I can see more scraps just still lying around the place that really should go in that bucket. I did get rid of a piece of twine. That twine I used on the spine of my Roxy Journal of Stitchery to create a branch that I then embellished to make it look like a, you know, a piece of foliage. So it's amazing where all these bits come from and can be used. So I will pop some photos at the end of the video, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye for now.